Go ahead, Min.
Okay. Good afternoon. You're tuning in to the Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session. It is Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. It is 3:01 p.m. This is a virtual meeting. For public attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel or join by calling 360-252-9020 and number 1234. I am Carolina Mejia, Chair of the Board. Vice Chair Ty Menser is excused for this week. I am joined by Commissioner Gary Edwards and County Manager Romero Chavez, Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, as well as Jenica Machado, Mark Steepy, and Michael Cade. And today we will be discussing the Thurston Economic Development Council update. So with that, I will hand it off to who's going to take the baton.
I'll just hand it over directly to Michael. Mark Steepy, I have not seen you for a long time. Good to see you.
Thank you. It is good to see you. It's unfortunately we're still doing it in a virtual world, but hopefully that changes soon, right?
Yeah, and good to see you as well, Michael. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
And we have Heather Burgess. Welcome.
Hello, Romero. Sorry about that. I had technical difficulties. It was bound to happen at some point during the day.
Yeah.
For me, this is a welcome update by the Thurston EDC, so we can hear from the wonderful Michael Cade as to the accomplishments and what lies ahead for opportunities. Go ahead, Michael.
Great, thank you. And I'm actually going to turn this presentation over to start with our board leadership. Heather Burgess, as you know, is our president. Mark Steepy is our president-elect. A little bit about how we structure ourselves. As you know, Commissioner Edwards is a longtime board member of the organization as well. It's important for us to have that relationship on both the public and private sector side. I also thought it was, as we were setting up our discussion about how we present ourselves to you today, it's important that you do see the leadership of the board. I rely upon Heather and Mark on our board to really set the pace for us and allow us to think strategically about economic development in our region. Left to my own devices, I generally keep my head down and just start working away. Heather and Mark very lovingly remind me it's about community, and it really is about the relationships. And so if I can turn it over to Heather for her opening comments, first couple of slides, that would be great. And then Heather, you let me know when we have a slideshow. You know, we can't do economic development without a PowerPoint. So I think that's one of the cards that they give you when you come out of economic development schools, that you shall have PowerPoint. So Heather.
You should be able to share your screen, Michael, when you're ready.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael, for the introduction. Again, I appreciate the staff and the commission taking time today to spend some time visiting with the EDC. As I know many of you from my work as a land use attorney here in Thurston County, but really what I enjoy doing is working with the community. And the great part about the EDC is it really gives us an opportunity to combine private and public sector goals and work together towards the common good. So it's really exciting and invigorating work to work with Mark, the other members of the board, and with Michael and his really tremendous team, as well as all the great economic development folks such as Jennifer that you have at the county and the others at the cities, really working towards a common goal. If we can all work together, we really all build a broad, vibrant, and resilient community. And that's what we're all about at the EDC. So we're looking forward to sharing some of what we're doing with you and how we approach our work this afternoon. I think that's the next slide cue, Michael. Okay, so this is just an overview of what we're going to talk about today, explain how we work, how the county works in terms of the leadership of our organization, do a little summary of what we did over the last year in Thurston County, talk a little bit about our work plan for 2022. And then most importantly, we'd really like to hear from the commissioners about what your priorities are for economic and community development so we can be ensured we're incorporating that into our work going forward. It's always important to make sure that we're all aligned on what our vision and mission are. And we also have the CBNI, which is the Center for Business and Innovation. That's part of the organization. So these are just our vision and mission statements. We always want to make sure that we're mindful of these as we go forward in our work. We are really about getting things done, actors, achieving goals, working through grants, benefit, training businesses, doing work, as opposed to more of a planning agency or planning group that you might see in some other organizations like TRPC. We have a pretty broad board membership that supports the vision, mission, and these organizations. That includes both public and private sector members. And from the from the private sector, we have a diverse range of businesses and industries, including professional services, construction, banking, healthcare. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, Michael, but just about every industry and business size is represented on our board of directors. And did I miss anything on this slide, Michael?
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, next slide. And where you get into the, when you start talking about platforms, that's a really good sign that the president of the board should turn it over to the executive director to actually talk about the actual work being performed by the organization. So I'm going to do that now. But again, really appreciate your taking the time to meet with all of us today and looking forward to what Michael has to share with you.
Thank you, Heather. And you all, please, if you see a point in this next couple slides where you want to stop and talk and have questions, more than able to do that and capable. And really, economic development is about that communication and the ability to convey issues back and forth and discuss them. So please don't hesitate to raise your hand and say, hey, let's talk about that for a minute. I've been doing economic development for quite some time now. I came here in 2004. And really the notion at that time was, we have three basic platforms to expand market opportunities for the employers that are here, to retain the employment, employment base that is here, but also recruit new investment and new dollars and new employment opportunities into Thurston County. And really, so that's the question that we have endeavored to ask ourselves in 2004 through 2010 was, how do we do it? And why do we do it? And in what format does it take? The organization's changed fairly dramatically during that time. And what you have in front of you is an economic development council, an organization that I truly believe is an extension of your staff, an extension of your office. We have a great relationship. When you created the position of economic development manager and the embodiment of Jenica Machado, we immediately went to work and said, how can we make sure that what we're hearing from the county and what we're hearing as for priorities fits into these three things? And so what I want to talk to you a little bit about is how we go about the work of retaining employment investment. How do we expand those markets, and how do we recruit, and when do we recruit? A little bit about our brand. I won't spend too much time on this. This will give you an idea of how the organization has changed. Really, it's when you think about economic development, one of the things that we've tried to do is expand the notion of what is economic development. It's not just about the dollars and cents that we have in our pockets, but it is about the dollar and cents that we can create a quality, resilient, and inclusive economy and community. And when you go back to the mission and vision statement that Heather outlined to you, and that's the underlying current there, the deep water current that we have is, how do we create a strong and quality, resilient, and inclusive community? And we do that through these things. And so when people think about how do you insert yourself into the Economic Development Council, this brand or these elements really is where we believe those partnerships lie. A couple of things that I would point your attention to is that second bullet. Every couple of years, the county commissioners, identify and reauthorize the EDC to be the associate development organization of Thurston County. You roll that up to Washington State Department of Commerce. Commerce signs off on that designation, and with that, it contracts with us to ensure that the work that we do is truly countywide. And the RCWs, I'll send those over in a little bit in another report that Jenica will receive from me, hopefully by the end of next week, that identifies how we address all the elements in the RCWs about what an economic development council can and should do. But that's a designation we take very, very seriously. Always have, always will, and we'll continue to do that. At the crux of that RCW is the notion of that we create partnerships. We have 50 working partnerships and agreements throughout Thurston County, organizations, task force, we sit on boards, a variety of things that we do. But if you think about us, think about the notion that we don't do anything if we're going to do it by ourselves. We have to have a partner, and therein lies the relationship that we have with the county as well. You're a partner of ours, an extension of the work that you do. The other item I would point in there is that last year, and we're not yet done adding up all of our fiscal impacts. So this number that last year we impacted the local economy by about $330 million. We're just now in the midst of the next counting year, but I'll give you some numbers so far this year. But we impacted the local economy about $330 million. That's all those platforms of recruit, retain, expand. And then also have some impact dollars for you for taxation, where it comes back to you in your budget. We do run 3 statewide programs, it's important to note, and therein lies our ability to leverage resources in the Thurston County. It's funny, I have the opportunity to visit a lot of economic development councils in the state. A lot of times they'll ask me, hey, come up and talk to our board about what you do, and the notion that we're actually using one of your programs. And I get a lot of kind of skewed look at that, is that, why are you running a program, Kate, that's throughout the state? Why are you running the Washington State Procurement Technical Assistance Center statewide? Because it leverages dollars directly into Thurston County. Our business and our employers and our communities benefit for all the programs that we run statewide. So I don't want to belabor the point that we do expand our brand, but we focus those resources directly into the local employment abilities. So we do operate the Center for Business Innovation. I won't talk too much about that, but that's a separate 501c3 underneath the umbrella of the EDC. And I won't talk too much about that budget and how we structure that. But when you think about the brand of the Center for Business Innovation, think about the Economic Development Council. It's interesting. There's a number of folks that I run into on a monthly basis that use the resources of the Center for Business Innovation, and they have no idea it's an EDC program. It's either a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing in that they're using it. It's a bad thing in the sense that we need to do a better job of promoting the notion of how this system works and how that ecosystem comes together. When I talk about kind of the brand and the platforms, this is your Economic Development Council. This is stuff that, this is an idea or programs that we have put together in a very strategic fashion to grow employment, investment, and retain the businesses that are here. I went to a conference about 10 years ago, and one of the employers at that conference was sitting in the back room filled with a bunch of economic developers like me. There's about 60 of us in the room, and we're all talking about different stuff. And the guy didn't say anything until the very end. Somebody said, well, so-and-so, you've been very quiet. What do you have to say? And he says, I'm not sensing any love for my employment at all. And I said, well, geez, what are you talking about? And he says, man, I'm a major employer in this town. It was not in this community. It was in another county that resides to the north. And he says, if you're not doing anything to show me the love that I'm wanted here, there's a problem. Every one of these programs designed here is to show that we love and appreciate the employers, the employment base, the investment that is provided at Thurston County. There's no reason to ask somebody to come here if you can't help them stay here and be involved. So if you think of this solar system, think about the platforms of the Economic Development Council, and it runs from young people that want to come in here and start talking about a business, and that's done through our BEST program. How do I actually even think about a business? How do I even think about launching a business? And you go into the intro to business to help them launch. And then we use the scale-up program to make sure that they're operating correctly and effectively. Let's talk businesses. Another is just a roundtable of folks that want to start talking about how you do a business. Every one of these platforms is designed to increase the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Thurston County. Questions you might ask yourself, well, it really doesn't have anything to do with recruitment. You better believe it does have everything to do with recruitment investment. One of the employers that we were very successful a couple of years ago, well, 2 years ago, moving into North Thurston County, I asked him, I said, well, now that you're here and you bought this property and you're moving your facility here, talk to me about what your value proposition was. Because you were the only county that we were looking at that actually created a system that I could actually be involved in to make sure that I'm understanding what your philosophy is of growing the local employment base. That's really important to me. And in fact, it's so important to me that we're actually thinking about moving other entrepreneurial programs here because of it. We want to make sure that there's an environment so people can grow and retain their business, obviously, But we wanted to be leaders here. We wanted to make sure that they understand that there is a leadership opportunity. Every one of these programs is designed around that. Some of them are robust and some of them are not as robust, but every one of them leads back to the notion of the Center for Business Innovation, that we grow and recruit and retain businesses. Again, it's about building wealth. It's about the dollars and change that we have in our pockets, but it's also about your ability to create that quality community. How am I doing, Heather and Mark? Am I missing any points here yet?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. You'll be hearing about Thurston Strong tomorrow, so I'm not going to belabor this slide too much, but I do want to make sure that you know that this is something that we take very, very seriously on a staff level. We provide the backbone to intake the applications for grants. We provide a lot of technical assistance on those grants. I think I'll have some numbers, updated numbers for you tomorrow, so I'm going to go ahead and hold those off. But this is really important when you start extending the brand of economic development in Thurston County. Know that this is referenced by us as a strong partnership with the county. Leadership that you folks provided us and the investment and the commitment is par excellence. It was above all. You allowed us to put those dollars together and make sure that the entire community had resources to move forward. This is a big deal. And we're glad to do that work and proud to do it. But again, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I want to remind you of this is a significant of how we think of how that entrepreneurial ecosystem and that business ecosystem should operate. It's a little bit about deliverables. You know, when we start retaining business, it's easy to just kind of say, well, we're retaining businesses. Well, really, how do you do it? We do it through business trainings. We did over 500 countywide business trainings last year. And that's not necessarily just one level. It is a variety of different levels. We did, or actually 500 businesses took advantage of our trainings last year. And that's a very significant number when you start thinking about, there are about 13,000, 14,000 businesses in Thurston County. The notion that you're going to extend yourself out and make yourself available. The other thing that we do, one of the things that Myra Pena does, you'll hear about it tomorrow with the BIPOC business committee liaison, is ensure that she is pushing out and making available to those folks that need to hear about it and have historically have not used those. So when we start talking about our business trainings, we want to make sure that it is available to everybody. We'll meet people where they need to be. The PTAC program, you've heard me talk a little bit about it. It's another acronym, sorry, but it is a big one. It's Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It's funded through the Department of Defense. When we took this program over in 2005, we were a sub-center. It was worth exactly between $50,000 and $60,000 to Thurston County. This last quarter, we generated about $2.6 million in new revenue to Thurston County businesses. It is a significant thing when we operate that statewide. Scale up consulting and training. That's one of the programs we've taken statewide. We did it so successfully. Here, the Washington State Department of Commerce said, if we give you a little bit extra money, could you extend that throughout Washington State? And we certainly can, and we certainly have done it. We have 9 trainers now on retainer that teach that program. We have, we'll finish the year at 27 different cohorts. We'll have trained over 1,200 new business, 12 different businesses statewide. And then the thing that we're doing, launching in July or August, I'm sorry, I'm going to get that date wrong, is that we have now completely translated, moved that training over into a Spanish curriculum. And that curriculum will be available, and we have a trainer that is a native Spanish speaker, and we're very excited about that. And, early returns, I'm just marketing that is pretty phenomenal. So we think that one of the reasons why we want to do it early in the summer is we want to have enough time and money left over in that contract to do another training if needed to. Business Resource Hotline, for those of you listening, I'm going to shameless plug, 888-821-6652. You can call us 9:30 to between 9:30 and 3:30 every day. Monday through Friday, and we will return your call, or we'll get a live person to talk about a variety of different issues. That's where a lot of the Thurston Strong calls come in. Hey, I'm going to apply for this grant. How do I do it? Our technical service providers are there, and we walk people through step by step of what they need to do. We've actually counseled people on how to actually start a business on that call as well. So it runs the gamut. We've done about 10,000 calls since we've set that program up. Very, very effective way to push out resources of economic development. On the expansion side, we do this in a variety of different ways. One of the things that doesn't get enough credit there is the innovation partnerships on IPZ. As you know, Thurston County is, one of the brands of Thurston County is craft brewing and craft distilling. We took on that moniker and we applied for that moniker in 2012, really before there's a big hold here on the local market. We started looking at the residue from the Olympia Brewery. Businesses were still here. We looked at what the college was doing, and we applied for that craft brewing and distilling, and now cidery IPZ Innovation Partnership. So marries workforce with private industry and economic developers in the public sector. So the notion is that we corral all those resources to push out to ensure that's out there. And that's nothing but an expansion of that market and an opportunity for that. It's something that we don't actually receive a grant from the Washington State Department of Commerce to do, but it's important that we do it because it is a catalyst, it's a catalyst for growing that sector. Business launches. We talked a little bit about the work that the Washington Center for Women in Business, it's an SBA funded program, has. So one of the core missions of that is to ensure that we launch businesses in Thurston County. And it's geared towards women and people of color in the BIPOC community. Last year, we launched, actually since July 1st, we've launched 42 new businesses in Thurston County. Really proud of that number. It's a big number. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Think about in each one of those cases, we're about 15 hours into it to work with a business to launch. But we provide that resource to them. Think is out there as well. The Think Network, the Thurston Investment Network, drives new capital into entrepreneurs in the local food systems. And I think you've had a couple of briefings on the local food systems in the Southwest Washington Food Hub, and also the Tenino Southwest Washington Ag Industrial Park is moving forward. So these are the things that we take on to expand market opportunities. On the recruitment side, we do have a network. This is where the ADO designation comes in really strongly for us. It ties us directly into the Washington State Department of Commerce recruitment team. We're a part of that recruitment team. We participate in a variety of different ways. We haven't gone on a trade mission with Commerce in a couple of years for COVID reasons. We'll probably start doing that in 2023. We've done some virtual trade missions with them last year. They were mildly successful in generating investment or interest. But what we do is we get cases from that. We also develop a relationship with national site selectors. Jenica has been very instrumental in how we couch and create a scope of work where we are now extending the brand of Thurston County out into site selectors to identify that have been identified as investing in Washington State. We think we have a value proposition here, and we're going to pursue that and pursue it. The deliverable for that is 12 direct leads this year, and that starts in the spring, and Jenica has been a part of that. We do respond to cases all the time, and then these are the type of sectors that we respond to: ag, warehouse distribution, light assembly, manufacturing, and energy technology. Again, I put this ecosystem back up here in the corner just to remind us all that that's part of the story and the value proposition of Thurston County. Yeah, it comes down to land, labor, and capital. We have to have those elements in different varieties of discussion points, but it also comes into the ecosystem that we have in Thurston County, that when somebody comes here, they know that they're going to be loved. It goes back to that lesson I learned about 10 years ago. We have to tell businesses, and they have to know that they're loved and cared for, and that's what we do with this ecosystem. Countywide impact for the first year, this is just a very preliminary numbers. We have an overall impact of about 3.9 countywide right now. I know that's going to go up. Not of all our numbers are in, but when we start looking at the revenues and the tax revenue that creates, total, it's about $746,000 countywide. Municipal revenues is about 112,000. Special districts 175. County itself is $96,000. The state at 403. So when you start thinking about a return on investment, you folks, thank you. Can't thank you enough. You invest in the Economic Development Council every year with $50,000. And we have so far turned that around into a $3.9 million return on investment to the local economy. We know that's going to go up when we do our final numbers, but it's just a portion of what we're at right now. So in 2022, Mark and Heather, they're great stewards of this organization. And I'm not saying that just because they're on the phone call and my performance review is coming up. That's not the issue at all. But they're great stewards of this organization. This year I asked them, you know, our board really doesn't do retreats. It's not really kind of our DNA. Mark said, yeah, it needs to be. And Heather said, absolutely. And so we actually had a retreat this year, which was really cool. As you know me, I kind of put my head down and I start working and I start creating graphs and things like that. But one of the things that our board talked about at the retreat was really, how do we implement programs? Are we implementing programs with a lens of equity, access, and diversity? Are we really supporting the resilience economy for all? Are we meeting people where they're at? Are we doing the things with a lens on equity on the retention, expansion, and recruitment side? But let's focus on the recruitment of new markets. Make sure that they're sustainable and meets the needs of the community in whole. And we want to build an awareness of the importance and the impact, positive impact of economic and community development. We want to have a dialogue and discussion with leaders like you and community members and other community members and business leaders. And then we want to continue to be the backbone of Thurston Strong, and you'll get that full deep dive tomorrow morning. And then we want to revisit and rekindle this countywide strategic economic development strategy that was adopted in 2018. As you know, we've kind of put that on hold the last 2 years. In many ways, we have, I know somebody used this word the other day, and I almost don't like to use it, but in many ways, we've turned ourselves into an economic development crisis clinic in the sense that we are focused on the retention of our businesses. But the business of economic development hasn't stopped. And we do not stop in developing new markets, and we have not done that. So we'll return ourselves and attention to that 2018 model as well, that you had great input. But our efforts came out of that retreat, and it's interesting as I think back about my tenure here, I just really enjoyed hearing the board talk about building a strong quality community. It's building a strong, resilient community, and the things that we can do to assist that. We don't have to be the lead on every little thing that goes on around Thurston County, but we have a critical component to participate in, and that's what we'll do. And we will definitely participate in community development. I mentioned earlier that we have 50 some odd strategic partners. Those aren't done just because we like partners. We do, but we do it because it helps us do our jobs better. And so with that, I'm done. I could take off shared screen so we can kind of chat, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that if you want me to go back to a slide, I can do that before I toggle off the shared screen. Okay.
Commissioner Agnes, any remarks before Michael takes down the PowerPoint? Okay, Michael, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I would turn back to my board leadership. And people, I say it all the time, they go, no, I mean, these folks they're the drivers of the organization. And I genuinely yoke my leadership to their leadership. We're tied, and we're moving forward. So turn to them, comments before I open up for conversation. Mark and Heather.
I'm bound to speak on mute at least one time today, right? That's just a thing that happens. Sorry about that. Thanks again, Michael. Just a couple things before, and Mark might have a couple comments before we love to hear from staff and commissioners. I want to do a shout out for an upcoming event that might be of interest to you, which is the upcoming Inspire Conference, which is the Women's Inspire Conference on May the 12th, which is a CB&I event. It's going to be virtual again this year. So happy to share information about that with you. Really great, engaging event that brings a lot of inspiration to women and women-owned businesses locally. So looking forward to that. On the trade mission front, historically, we've gone to China. I think we all know that the world has changed. I'm hoping, given current events, it won't drastically change for the worse, but we continue to monitor those situations. But as we emerge from COVID and have different and emerging opportunities for the county, we're really looking forward to being able to once again engage in international trade. And I know that counties traditionally participated in those delegations. So we're looking forward to have the opportunity to extend that. And then I didn't know if Jenica's, if news about Jenica was shareable, and if not, we'll just leave you hanging for all this beautiful surprise that is. And if it is, then I'd like to make sure we get to share that with the commissioners while she's on the call.
I think it's shareable, definitely shareable.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe that we have shared that with the board yesterday, and I made it public, and how proud we are of Jenica's success. So I said in my email to her, well deserved. I think she has been an incredible asset to the county, and I know they going through this process, at least in the last 2 years before this meeting, her and I had the opportunity just to converse in my office a little bit and reflect on the last 2 years. And what a journey. Congratulations, Jenica. And I have to give kudos also to Michael K for the mentorship that he has provided to Jenica. So thank you very much.
Terrific.
Thank you. I just want to second that, Michael. Very much appreciate your leadership through the EDC. The last 2 years have been really meaningful, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
And I believe there is an event next week where Jenica will have the opportunity to provide her thoughts in a 4-minute time slot here at the hotel near the courthouse. So I will make sure that I will attend just to film the performance and share with the rest of the county.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to that as well. So that is a 2-day conference, and it's a really unique opportunity for Thurston County also to attend and kind of see what else is going on in the state. So love to see you all there as well. And I can certainly send information over to Jenica about the entire conference.
Thank you.
Mark, you toggled off your microphone. I always want to defer to my bosses. So did I miss anything, Mark, before we have conversation?
No, I did toggle it off just because I'm not really good at sitting silent for too long. I guess I just like the commission to hear from me. First of all, I'm a born and raised Thurston County individual, right? So I've seen this place change a lot in the last 52 years. And it's changing for the good. It's always been good. It's getting better. And Michael and Heather hear this from me a lot, that we still are a relatively small community with a lot of great leadership, both in the business sector, but also in the public sector. And we've got people that want to go in different directions. And it really is our goal as an EDC, at least from the business and social side of things, to try and help keep all of that going in at least a similar path, right? I mean, each agency and location gets to do what they want to do, of course, but we really like to see ourselves as helping provide a bridge when a bridge is needed. And so that's a big focus of mine as I continue to remain on this board for the next, 5 years, Michael, at least?
Minimum, yeah, minimum.
So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards, comments, questions? Okay. I don't have any comments or questions either. Well, I guess comments. I want to thank all of you for coming here today and doing this presentation and doing the yearly update. I do appreciate that. I look forward tomorrow for the Thurston Strong presentation. I know you have been invaluable partners in that. So definitely appreciated getting those resources out to the community. And I look forward to continuing in this partnership because it is a bridge, Mark. I do agree with you. And, definitely ways we can improve. I know I have, I'll give a shout out to Aslan. He's been helping me a lot in the agricultural field right now as we're looking into the prospect of a meat processing plant, and Jenica has been very involved in that as well. But I feel just that resource that, of having someone like Aslan join those meetings and help us is just another reason why the EDC is definitely valuable. Study meetings too, having those connections with South County and hearing those reports on a monthly basis are also very valuable. And I feel it connects so much of the community that, sometimes South County feels left out, and that has definitely bridged that gap. So it's another great resource. So just thank you for all you're doing, and very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And County Manager, you have some additional comments?
A question for Michael. Could you provide additional details on the Regional Agriculture Business and Innovation Park in Tenino? Where are we on that process, and what will be the near and long-term future? Just curious.
Yeah, we're still in the phase, sir, of ensuring that we have enough capital to go through the development process. As you know, we did have a marker or a request in for the state for $870,000 to help us push that forward. Right now, I don't think that that's going to come out of the capital budget this year. And so we got to retrench a little bit and find out where those dollars can come from. We don't want to start turning dirt until we have full assurances that we're going to be able to complete the project. The project is sound in the sense that we've got a great idea, it's a great concept. We do have private sector interest, and if you do put up a building that they would move into it. So we're confident that we have that. But the process right now, we still are looking for capital. So we're looking for about $1 million. We asked for about $890,000. I know our executive committee has taken a stronger attention to it to make sure that we're managing that process correctly and professionally, procurement-wise, procurement process-wise, development phase-wise, as well as the marketing of it. So, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Heather and Mark, Heather, you toggled off as well.
Yeah, Romero, I think the only thing I would add to that, add to Michael's comments is, unfortunately, like everyone else, we did planning and budget cycles for prior capital requests in a different market than we have today for construction materials and costs. And those escalations have been challenging to manage and work with, given the way that we've been funding the project. And so we're continuing to try to be innovative to the extent we can be, involving state and local funds to make sure that we can leverage those dollars and ensure the long-term success of the project. As you know, it's City of Tenino property, and we currently have a lease for the city for that property, and looking forward to moving forward so that we can get a building developed and put some tenants in there, because there's a significant amount of interest. But unfortunately, we face the same challenges as every other construction project at this point in terms of material costs and labor costs having escalated more than 30 to 40% since the original budgets were conceived.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. I believe that's probably you answered my next question. The gap has increased, and certainly it's related to the construction costs that all of us are facing. So, is there anything the county can do from the commissioner's point of view, from the state point of view, to help bridging the gap? Please let us know, because I believe that is going to be a great asset, not just for South County, but the region, really. So let us know.
Thank you for that comment. We will keep that at the front of our conversations of that offer. Thank you.
Yeah, much appreciated. Definitely make sure that gets relayed to the subcommittee, really leading that effort with Aslan, so that we can factor that, what options that might look like for the county's assistance into the option evaluations, and come back to you. we are very motivated to get that project across the finish line, and appreciate all of your support.
Thank you.
Any additional comments, questions?
No
Quiet
problem.
Okay, with that, thank you again. And if there's no additional comments or questions, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you for your time. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Making time.
Very much appreciated.
Good to see everyone on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you.